Happy Sunday, everybody, or happy Sunday evening. How are you guys doing? Today is a Sunday. Yes, it is Sunday, and it's the 16th of February, 2025, and it is the evening. Yet another day. It's been a very busy day for us here, and I hope that you guys have had a good Sunday. How are you all doing? Thank you very much for tuning into my show. This is kind of a different kind of show because it's more of an opinion piece and also an opportunity for you guys to share what you've been going through because I've been talking to a lot of my friends and people that I know, and we've been discussing this issue of our mental health. Every day we're bombarded with issues. We're bombarded with news that is, really sad and off-putting. You hear news of war, of people losing their jobs, of human resources not knowing what to do with people. I've had chats with two people, one based in the US and one based in Kenya, both working with either one of them is an employee of an international organization, and she actually of the federal government in the US. And she received a notification that her job was going to be, terminated because of Trump's new orders. And then, even though she had already completed about a year, of like a probation period, she still was going to have her job terminated. So she's worrying now about, her rent. How is she going to make rent? How is she going to make her food? What's going to happen? And she's a young person. Again, today I was talking to a human resource manager who worked with an international organization, and they too were also so worried about. They work for an international NGO, which is mentioned under Trump's for cancellation of their projects and stop work orders. And now they're debating about whether they're going to have to give letters of termination to employees, to consultants. So there will be some consultants who are only going to be earning 10%. Okay, so imagine you've been working. I myself worked as a consultant for very many years. That was my, main source of income, and usually 10% is usually just given to you as a sort of commitment fee. When you're signing on, you get 10% just to mobilize you and help you, to start the work. But just imagine you've been working maybe for a whole month or 2 months, and then you get nothing because you're expecting to get your payment in phases, and then they terminate your contract. And there's no way you're going to take these organizations, yeah? Because they're going to say it's Trump's orders. So we are facing such, challenges right now. Really, we are facing a lot of challenges. And so today, as we've been hearing in the news, we also have economic hardships. Of course, we have that. We just talked about economic hardships. We're talking about the rising cost of living. They talk about the inflation being lower, and yet the cost of living is rising. In fact, I went shopping today for food, and every single day I go to buy food, it's going up in price. I'm getting less and less for my money. Yeah, it's expensive. Even clothing, even if you just like decide to go and do window shopping and go into some of these shops, you'll find a month ago the cost of clothing has gone up. Yeah, the cost of clothes has gone up compared to last month. And what you went budgeting for, you have to go back and think again whether you really want to buy it or not. And so all of these are kind of like injuring our mental health, and they're kind of causing some sort of strain and trauma to us. Yeah. So people are also being strained and traumatized by their personal relationships. Some people are in relationships or have been in relationships that have affected their self-esteem and completely changed who they are. Maybe you have a partner, maybe a husband or a wife, who's always criticizing you or making you feel less than. And therefore, now that impacts on your self esteem, it impacts on how you view yourself. And all of a sudden, you just find yourself shifting in terms of who you are, what you think about yourself. And it's no longer, encouraging or inflating. In fact, now you start feeling depressed, you start feeling anxious, self-conscious, and maybe you even resort to things like drugs and alcohol, you know, or maybe you decide to, coil into your own little shell and become, and then that will also foster loneliness. So right now we are actually being faced with, we're being subjected to a myriad of attacks on very many sides, guys. We are facing difficult times. On the political landscape, it's the same thing. Yeah, we're experiencing disappointment and literally political fatigue. You see, Kenyans are right now just reeling from the loss that was incurred by Raila Odinga at the Africa Union, at the Africa Union in Ethiopia, where he was, supposed to be, vying for chairmanship. But unfortunately, he lost the race. I think he lost. I think they went, I think 7 or 8 rounds. I don't really know. But he lost the race. And for a lot of people, they were really looking forward to see Raila win, including the president himself, who was his front runner in terms of, his greatest cheerleader. And of course, people who are diehard supporters of Raila were really hoping for that. And also many Kenyans who see themselves as, who see it as something patriotic to do, to support a fellow Kenyan to go for the position. But despite all his campaign efforts, he lost again. This now actually translates into about a fifth loss for Raila. And that impacts on his credibility. It impacts on him as a leader, especially his followers. I'm sure it is draining, absolutely draining. And many of them are stressed, they're anxious, they're probably even depressed. Yeah, probably very angry, probably thinking that it's unfair. The whole thing was unfair, and then blaming other people, blaming Kenyans, blaming fellow Kenyans. Yeah, and assuming that fellow Kenyans are happy. And, we also have different categories of people, like the Gen Zs also. Many of them have blamed, I think, the president, or they've blamed, I don't know who they're blaming. But the fact is that it's reigniting some sort of political tensions, especially amongst supporters of Raila, and even amongst the people who do not support him, who are being blamed, for not supporting him, his vying, for that position. So it's online, it's offline, and there's a lot of social stress and emotional exhaustion. Literally, people are literally just exhausted. And then also, there's the issue of Kenyans are kind of very proud people. Eh? So we're disappointed that we've lost. We're used to winning. Kenyans are used to winning, but unfortunately, it looks like a failure of our diplomatic, of our diplomatic abilities. It looks like, it's going to affect our morale. It definitely will affect our morale. And, the supporters are going to feel maybe that, they are disillusioned by what's going on. Yeah, they're just disillusioned. So, what do we do in light of the fact that there's so much going on globally as well as on the local scene? How do we cope with this? Now, I see Susan is in the StreamYard, and I want to welcome her to the StreamYard. Welcome, Susan. Susan, welcome. Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you very much for the welcome.
Thank you.
I'm listening in and looking forward to the discussion.
Yeah.
How is
Welcome.
everybody?
To come in anytime, Susan. Yeah. Welcome. Karibu sana, karibu. Yeah. Happy to have you here. Fia, hi there. Hi there. I can see you in the comment section. Fia, welcome. And anybody else who wants to participate, please come into the comment section. By the way, sorry I didn't introduce myself as African Queen Mo, coming to you from the beautiful city of Nairobi. It is late at night, and today we're discussing issues to do with protecting your mind, protecting your mental health. Your mental health comes first, guys. Yeah, it comes first. Yeah, I don't know whether, Susan, you wanted to jump in and say anything at this stage, or whether I should just go ahead.
Okay, just to react to some of the points you raised about the sudden turn off of employment, change of direction.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, that's a shock to the system, and there could be a lot of mental health issues that would result in that.
Mm-hmm.
Could affect your
Mm-hmm.
marriage and affect your relationships, even change of friends and things like that. So the right support system is really, really important there, whether it be church, whether it be family, even your spouse really needs to understand, and families need to build resilience. We've learned um, in fact, I was listening to one broadcaster who was saying that this is character development. The Trump move on cutting off the funding. He just literally, the sense and the feeling is that the tap was turned off suddenly, and you know funds are frozen, and they can't really act or do anything, and the impact it's having on the lives of people. And it's far-reaching because US aid actually had projects all over the place, and it's affecting young people with their startups. It's affecting certain areas in the health sector. I was listening to a program. They were talking about disease management and not being able to track it because of the funds closure, and things like malaria, things like TB, which are real, things like mpox, things like Ebola, which are real. The avian flu, one of the flus has come back. Which one is it? It's one of them. Things like that, and them saying actually disease has no borders. So even if you turn off the tap in Kenya, it's it's everybody who's being affected by that particular uh, thing. Again, relationships, when soured relationships caused by maybe loss of income or other factors, because of the loss of income might be the primary reason, but it sours, it causes, it sort of permeates your reaction and interaction with people. Because maybe you're standing in the family, you feel it has changed. So you're no longer the breadwinner, you're now depending on somebody else, and it's a difficult shift for somebody who's used to providing for his family or her family to have, and now you're depending on other people, something that you've not done
Yeah.
before, because
There's
it could
definitely
be
going to
quite.
be power shifts in the family, definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that could impact, you see, if it's a woman, for example, who was a main breadwinner in the household, maybe it's a single mom and she's lost her job. That's devastating in itself because she's a sole breadwinner. Or maybe in a case of a marriage, maybe she was earning more money and she lost her job, or maybe her hours have been cut, but what it is in terms of a woman, how she will handle it compared to a man, how he would handle it would be very different. Yeah, how a woman will handle losing a job is very different from how men handle it, from my observation anyway. I think that men could resort to going into alcoholism, into withdrawing, or into behaving in ways that are not conducive for family life. You know, he might even decide to take off and go away and just decide not, switch off completely. He might even develop illness. He may even develop illness. He could develop high blood pressure, diabetes. This is, the non-communicable diseases. This is when now you start seeing them coming in. And now, in the light of the fact that USAID funds have been turned off, that impacts definitely, on the status of wellness and mental health, both mental, emotional, physical health for many people. And the only thing is that, like you said, it's character development because we have grown up with this sense of entitlement to this aid. Because the fact is that, though, we do have over a million Africans who were taken from the continent to go and work in, against their will in the islands and in the US and other countries, in the Europe and everywhere else. So we are entitled to it. Apart from that, there's nothing for free. Yeah, we know that many parts of our lands and our countries are sectioned off. They're being mined illegally. Monies are going, they're taking our resources anyway. We are aware about that. So it's not like the money is even coming in. In fact, much of it is not even coming in aid. And they themselves are already, Dodge itself is revealing that the money is going to fund potential, organizations that are actually a threat to our security. in Africa. So really, to be honest, that money, most of it never trickles down anyway to Mama Mboga, to the person on the ground. And so the issue is, like you said, is character development, and I like the use of that term. Yeah. So let me let you continue what you were saying. I was just commenting on what you were just saying there.
Yeah, thank you, Queen Mo. Indeed. Yeah, so as you mentioned, uh, men and women respond differently to stress. Um, Women are not as afraid to ask for help as men are. Men are used to being the, macho person, and they don't really want to ask for help. They don't want to say anything about the circumstances. And these are some of the stereotyping things that are actually quite damaging to our society. Because if you need help, you should be able to ask for it, because the answer, there might be somebody right there next to you who can really help you to solve your problem. But because you're a man, you don't want to ask. Women are more likely to ask, because they look around, they see what's happening in their family, and they really want to. At that time, their pride is not the most important thing. The most important thing is their children. And so, the other thing is, when you have really, really bad soured relationships, the outcome could be serious mental health issues, akin to post-traumatic stress disorder. And, because of the extreme change in circumstance. Maybe you're not able to pay the rent and you have to be kicked out, or the spouse who's changed because of loss of income, your standing in the family is different. Or if your spouse has a loss of income, they can become very violent, very aggressive, and it could even be not necessarily physically violent, but it's emotionally violent, is damaging, demeaning, and this a type of behavior. The other thing, when you talk about addictive behaviors, interesting. I was in Carrefour the other day, and I noticed, and I want you all of you who are Kenyans, to notice and watching this show. If you go into Carrefour, you look at the where the alcohol is kept. It's sectioned off from the main supermarket. But look at what else is being sold in that alcohol section. Do you know what we observed? I
What is
observed
being sold
is
in
they're
those
selling.
alcohol sections without mentioning the names of the supermarkets?
Okay, sorry,
What else is being
sorry.
sold? I've never really gone into those, because I rarely go into the alcohol sections of supermarkets. But you can tell us yourself what else
No,
is sold in there.
yeah, I didn't go inside. I also don't go into that section, but you can see, because there's like
Ah,
you
yeah.
can see
Hmm.
what is being sold. And so we were like in the queue waiting to pay. And I just looked across and I noticed this, and I said, this is interesting, because where the alcohol is being sold, of course, the cigarettes, and there's Durex,
Aha, aha,
you know.
aha.
So
Condoms.
and
Yeah.
the reason why I'm
Mm-hmm.
bringing that up is that
Mm-hmm.
because with the addictive behavior, maybe excessive drinking and all that, comes also promiscuous behavior, which is
Mm-hmm.
damaging to your family, uh, right off there. So you end up with multiple issues occurring.
It's interesting you mentioned that condoms are sold in the alcohol section of the supermarket because back in the day, because I'm no longer young, back in the day when I was always running over there to buy always, yeah. When you're young, you're looking for those C's also. You're looking for the condoms too. And you can't find them. They're not there. They're not anywhere near the women's stuff. They don't put them with the women's stuff. They should be putting them with the women's sanitary stuff. I don't know why they don't. Strange that you have to go to the alcohol section to find them. And I do remember that time it was Nakumat. Nakumat was actually there. And I asked them the question. I said, why do you put these things at the front of the counter, just next to the cashier, and you don't put them where the sanitary items are for women? That would be, to me, mentally, that would be the right place to place them. But it's all about behavior. They have noticed, I mean, they have done the studies, they have seen the behavior. I guess they don't want to put them there because, there are also children who are picking them up. Not children, but under 18s who are picking up women's sanitary wear. But on the other hand, Why? So they'd have to put them in a place for over 18 and alcohol. This is ridiculous, and yet at the same time they're still giving, um what we say, they're giving, these, what we say, these drugs, these pills, to girls who are 10 years old and 12 years old, but they're not going to give them condoms. That's weird. But anyway, that's another show altogether. That is another show. Is You've opened up a Pandora's box here, Susan. Now I'm going to
Yeah,
note that down as a topic for one of the shows. We should talk about sexuality and and relationships. I think it's important, to talk about that. About birth control and things like that. It's important. It's important. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Interesting.
on the
Okay.
political
Yeah, on
landscape,
the political stuff, yeah. Yeah, you just
I
want to
just
comment
wanted
on
to,
Raila? Raila is
yeah,
a big topic right now. Huge.
yes,
He's
yes,
trending again. Yeah.
yeah. We're expecting a lot of drama, actually. I think politically, this is my view, that the executive, or in particular the president, did not want Riley. They wanted to keep him busy doing something else, and he's out of the country. This is a senior position, and they hoped that he was going to win it. But that's not what happened. So when you come back home and you see what's happening with the majority minority debate, and it keeps on escalating, and there's so many issues that have arisen out of it. His party, Azimio, um, is claiming the majority seat, and Kenya Kwanza also claiming it, and disobedience of court orders and stuff like that. And then um, um, this broad-based government thing where we have members of ODM in government and stuff like that, though they claim they are not in government. So it's a watch and see situation. Of course, it's causing a lot of tension and anxiety, because whenever there's upheaval, it affects the
Exactly.
economy, it affects our earning, it gives us a
Yes.
lot of stress, and stuff like that. We're expecting perhaps there'll be some protests, where people will not be able to go to the office, for days of work. And for some, depending on your job, you earn every single day. And if you're not out there selling or buying or whatever it is you're doing, that is a whole day lost, and that is
Mm-hmm.
less food on the table. So again, you can imagine the devastation to families, unless the situation is well managed and there's some
Mm-hmm.
preemptive action that's going to be taken.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts are many. I think that will be in the political discussion that we'll have tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
certainly, I
Mm-hmm.
agree with
Mm-hmm.
you. Failure of
Mm-hmm.
diplomacy. And I heard somebody as having a conversation today, and they said they thought that with all those 50 MPs rushing over to Addis, it was overkill, and perhaps they just inundated everybody with too much information, and it started to build a negative effect as an opposite
Mm-hmm.
effect of the intended effect. Although
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
nuances and the real intention, that's something I think we'll
Mm-hmm.
discuss tomorrow. So
Mm-hmm.
certainly I
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. There's lots of disappointment. I heard on one station, it was shared with me, where this person was saying in Kikuyu, oh, you lost so many elections here in Kenya. We thought that if we send you out of the country, maybe you'll win there. But you know,
So mockery.
but
They're mocking him.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
But
yeah,
I know
yeah.
this thing is affecting a lot of people. I saw that there's a lady who was looking forward to come all the way from Kisumu to Nairobi, and she turned around. She wanted to turn around and go back home immediately. She was so disappointed that he lost. So these are people who are going to experience a lot of mental, stress. They're going to be challenged by this, and this affects people emotionally. It affects people's pockets. It affects families, because you see, if your mom or your dad is stressed because of politics and elections, then you'll also be stressed as a child. Yeah. And then also, people's confidence in the country, in the status of the future of Kenya, will also be affected. It's the same thing in America. Like, for example, what's happening in the US, I've been seeing on TikTok, a lot of people are fleeing the US and going to Mexico. because their trust, the mistrust in the system, mistrust in the government, mistrust in Trump. They don't really believe that they'll be safe, or that their jobs are safe, or they themselves are safe in the country. So many people are fleeing, and Kenyans themselves are asking themselves many questions about, is this the right country to be in? Should we be here? And now that we are, making a complete mockery of ourselves all over the place, we're not doing well in EAC, we're not doing well in the Congo, we're not doing well in Ethiopia, we're not doing well in South Africa, we're not looking good anywhere. I think, it's a big blow to Kenyans' confidence. And, Kenyans, like I said earlier, and then, we are proud people. And pride comes before a fall. That's what I can tell Kenyans. Pride is not a good thing. But anyway, let's go back to mental health, because tomorrow we're going to be discussing Raila, and please tune into that program tomorrow night, because that will be very interesting. Because Susan, you talk about, yeah, the reasons, but I think I have my own reasons as well, my own views about that, and I think they go beyond even the two. It goes beyond Kenya even. Once you do a bit more research, you're going to find out that this thing is much bigger than we thought. And Kenyans are still looking at it from a localized point of view, but remember, it's a regional thing, and it was a regional contestation, and it's a regional position for the continent. And as much as we put on our lens, our local lens, we also have to put on a global lens, looking at that position and why it went to the other candidate. Not so much why it didn't go to Raila, but why it went to the other candidate instead. Why? You know. I think now the question now that we can move on to other issues now, and talk about, how do we cope? How do we cope? How do we go? How do we cope with mental health challenges, guys? You as an individual and I as an individual have my own set of problems. You have your own set of problems that you're dealing with. You have your own set of challenges. They could be personal, very personal. They could also be national, but they affect you. They could be global and they're affecting you. Yeah, you may have children who are based in different countries, like some of us do. You may have children who have graduated from school, they don't have jobs. You may have you may also, maybe if you don't have children, you may have a sister, brother, or a relative who's relying on you, yeah, to provide for them. You may be a parent who's got to pay school fees, who's got to put the food on the table, pay rent, in this environment where people's jobs are being cut very, very, very bad. So the question is, how do you cope? How do you cope? First of all, when it comes to the political arena, one of the ways to cope, as they say out there, is just to accept that once you get into a race, there will be a winner and a loser. And you have to be ready to win or lose. And that's it. And expect, not everybody can be a winner. And the same person can lose many times over. We saw, some people do lose many times before they finally win. And sometimes they never win. Yeah. So I think just to accept the fact that once you get into a race, there's no there's no guarantee of the outcome. That's one. And then again, also, it's important to go back into your friendships, into your groups, get on the phone, or call a friend and meet with them. Talk to people. Talk to people about how you feel. Don't bottle things up. Because when you bottle things up, then you actually are creating a situation in your body where you're increasing some sort of toxic hormones. Yeah. And they will start causing chaos in your body. Yeah. Again, also, if you are disappointed about what's going on the political scene, then maybe you can shift your focus and think about other things that are more in your control. Because you see, political outcomes are not in your control. They're completely out of your control. The thing is not to be so vested into it. Just try to understand it, but not to kind of like personalize it. It's like, for example, when we have Kenyans going on marathon track, and they win or they lose. Yeah, some people get so upset they can go and even just like do something drastic to themselves if their favorite team loses. The same thing with football. But it's completely out of your control. So the best thing is to refocus and re-strategize. Think about what's within your direct control that you can control. So again, on top of that, if, for example, the matter of your mental health has got to do maybe with your job, or maybe with how you feel at work. Maybe you're not comfortable in your workplace, or maybe in your marriage or in your relationships, or maybe you're not happy about your, whatever situation, your finances, you know. I think it's also important, like for example, if it's something to do with relationships, one needs to think about setting boundaries. Set boundaries, learn to say no. A lot of people don't know how to say no, by the way. They keep on taking jobs, taking on more and more and more and more. And eventually, punda imechoka. Punda itachoka. The donkey will get tired. You can't keep piling and piling and piling stuff on a donkey. Eventually, it will collapse and it will not move and it will sit down. Same thing with camels. I've actually seen camels just refuse to get up. Being in the coast, camels are used a lot for rides on the ocean. So people, they get on the camel. There are times the camel will just refuse to get up, and people will just have to get off that camel. I don't know whether you guys have seen stuff like that. Yeah. So let me allow Susan to say something and also ask you to make some mentions in the live stream. Say something, contribute. Let this be an engagement, guys. Thank you. I can see all the likes. Thank you for the likes and thank you for watching us. Yeah, Susan, what do you think about, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely how to cope, accepting loss, accepting that, being very sort of pragmatic is really important. Um, One thing is not to invest yourself so totally mentally in a political cause. I know it's difficult. And in fact, one of the reasons why people, politicians get really affected, and even maybe the supporters do, is because there could be a deeper investment in terms of fiscal investment. It could be mental and emotional investment. So when that happens, it's like somebody has died, and so the grief is real, the loss is real, especially if they think there's somebody at fault or it was stolen. There's anger as well, so they're extreme emotions at that time. So it's very important for us to learn that when you get into a competition, you can win sometimes and you can lose sometimes. And I agree with you, Queen Mo, that some people have won after many attempts. We know the late Mwai Kibaki did not win the presidency the first time. He tried several times, I think 92, 97, before he won in 2002 as the sole candidate for the opposition. But so he made several attempts, and he was not going to give up. And that's just one example. The others, even athletes, who if they tell you their life stories, never won the race in the beginning. Look at somebody like Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt was not a world champion when he started running. He worked through it and eventually got to that place where he is now known as the fastest man in the world. His records have not been broken. The adult records, I know when he was under 20 and all that, some of those records have been broken. But the 9.58 of 100 meters is still standing. The 19.19 is still standing, even though Lyles has not broken it. But it was a journey to get him there. So the truth of the matter, it's a healthy way to look at life. Always glass, is it half half empty, not glass half full? Which is it? The pessimistic, optimistic. You look at whatever you're doing and see it as a game. Anyway,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
whatever it is, you
That's
see it
good.
as a
See
game.
whatever you're doing and see
Mm,
it as a game. Yeah, it's a journey.
yeah,
Life is a journey, actually. We
yeah,
expect ups and downs. It's the same as the weather. Sometimes you
mm,
expect it to rain and it doesn't. Or you
yeah,
expect it not to rain and it does. Yeah.
yeah,
And you can't
yeah.
control it. You can't decide that now you're going to get depressed and miserable and start doing domestic violence because it didn't rain. I mean, come on. There's some things which are with which are not in your control. Whatever is in your control, then you should try and make change.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
Try and make
And
positive
be
change. Like,
innovative. Yeah,
yeah,
be
investing in
innovative
yourself.
if you can. Mm,
Yeah, investing in yourself. First of all, one of the ways, okay, we're talking about coping now. Yeah. And one of the ways to cope is actually to have a good night's to self-care. They call it self-care, right? What is self-care? First of all, we talk about self-care a lot, but we don't even define it. We don't even know what it is. Self-care, that's it's the definition is that as it relates to mental health, it means being intentional in taking care of your emotional, psychological, and physical well-being. Intentionally. Okay? Intentionally taking care of your emotional well-being. That means your feelings, your psychological well-being, what you think, what you allow yourself to watch and think, and your physical well-being, your body. Yeah? So it's about, setting boundaries, managing stress, and making choices that support a healthy mind. It's a lot, but it's on different levels because you see, we have, for many of us, they forgot also to add spiritual. Yeah, taking care of yourself spiritually as well. Yeah, there's somebody who said we are spiritual beings having a human experience. I really like that because it's true. Because at some point, our human experience comes to an end, but our spiritual experience continues. Just recently, I just got very sad news of the loss of a very dear friend, somebody I met recently, and I couldn't believe it. It was so shocking because I just met her and we had this chat and we had agreed we're going to meet for coffee. Yeah. So self care right now for me means having time to reflect, to think, to pray, yeah, to not allow myself to get overwhelmed with her passing, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed with bad news because there's so much of that happening right now. We're losing a lot of people because of stress, and we hear about that every single day. So for example, with emotional self-care, allow yourself, it says, allow yourself to express and to feel, to process your emotions in a healthy way. So there are many ways people do this. Sometimes people like us, like me, myself, I like to talk. I like to talk about things. Other people, they read. Other people, um, they actually journal, they write things down. Yeah, I know my mom likes to write things down all the time. She used to drive me crazy. She has so many diaries. Yeah, many people love diaries, but me, because of breach of privacy, I don't keep diaries. But you can do journaling even online. Yeah, nowadays we have the cloud. You can put your things safely away. Yeah, you can talk also to someone you trust, or you can go for therapy. Yeah, emotional self-care, or even if not physical, professional therapy, you can talk to somebody you trust. You can also go for counseling. You can also, emotional self-care means also not exposing yourself to that trigger, that thing that stresses you emotionally. Minimizing the exposure to that, whether it's an individual who's stressing you out, you minimize your exposure to that. And if you have to be exposed to it every single day at work, then you have to start thinking of an exit strategy, either from the job or from that group that you're working with. And then and then also, at the same time, because it's kind of a way to set boundaries, it's like ring fencing yourself. Ring fence yourself, yeah, and say with an invisible ring, you can't touch me. Yeah, I'm untouchable. You are unborgable. You are untouchable. Yeah. So just say no. Say no to overtime work. Say no to anything that drains your energy, to people who drain your energy. There's some people, by the way, who are energy vampires. Have you heard of them? Yeah. There are some people who grab your energy. We talked about that recently. Yeah. Protect your peace. Your peace is so important to you, super important. And if you can't, like for example, it could be one of your children is giving you stress, or somebody you can't run away from, but you can minimize their access to you. You can actually minimize it. You can say, no, I'm not going to deal with this matter. You will deal with it yourself. Yeah, or we'll deal with it in this way, and that's the way. Like put boundaries there. Like for example, if you have, let's say, a child who seems to be a troubled child, a child who's always getting in trouble, you can decide that you're not going to be rescuing them from their problem. And you get them to experience the recourse, experience the, the consequences of their behavior. Many times parents tend to, especially these days, parents, yeah, we tend to run to the aid of our children even when they're teenagers, for example, and you know they're doing wrong and they know it, or even they're adults. Let's say they're spending money and they're always coming to you for money, and or they're staying out late and they're getting drunk and they're not getting to work on time and they keep getting fired from jobs and things like that. These are real situations that are happening in families, and they're stressing people out. The people who get stressed are the people who are the empaths, especially the people who are the caregivers. Yeah, the same thing, you could be looking after an elderly parent and they could be draining your energy, and you can put a boundary and say, I'm only going to be exposed to my parent up until this much. I'm going to care for them, but this is what I can give without literally losing my mind. Yeah. And be very self-aware about yourself. Know what you can tolerate and what you can't. Don't worry too much about what other people think about you, because without your mind, yeah, you're going nowhere. You're going absolutely nowhere. Again, when it comes to meals and what you eat, remember Susan and I were supposed to be keeping tabs on each other about exercising. We said we're going to exercise. I'm really working very hard on that. What I've done is, instead of exercising, like getting up and going out to walk, I found that I didn't have the energy to even do that. What I do is I tend to not sit down for long periods of time. I just seem to get up and move around a lot. Move around, because I'm still burning energy somehow. As long as I'm working, for me, as long as I'm working, doing something, planning something, fixing something, then that way I know that I'm keeping my body moving. If you just keep your body moving, it's also equivalent to doing exercises. As long as you're lifting heavy things, you're moving your legs, you're not sitting down, spending too much time sitting couch potatoing, getting some fresh air outside, eating right, changing your diet. There's so many things you can do for yourself. And before I allow Susan to speak, I'm going to also tell you that it's very, very important to sleep well. Yeah. Watch your sleep. And that's something I've decided to do. Yeah. Have a night routine. Yeah. In the evening, have a routine. They tell us to have a routine. There used to be a time when I would be by 9 o'clock. My father was very strict on this. By 9 o'clock, we all had to be in bed. He used to tell us when we were in high school, he'd tell us, you know what? There's so many hours in the day. I don't know what you people have done with them, but it's time to go to bed. Go to bed. Period. Yeah, no debate. You're not going to stay up until 1 o'clock to read. Go to bed at 9 o'clock and wake up at 5. I tell you, we used to complain a lot about having to sleep early, but that really kept me healthy. And from keeping me healthy, it kept me actually physically trim. My body was doing very well with metabolizing my food, and therefore I was burning energy and I wasn't gaining a lot of weight. Yeah, because if you go to bed at a certain time, it means you're not up eating at 1 o'clock in the morning. The longer you stay up, the hungrier you're going to get. You're going to find yourself walking to the fridge to get something to eat, and that will mess up your metabolism. Yeah. And they say that, the way we have these habits of always being on the phone, and I'm guilty of that, totally guilty of that. Yeah. They say that the blue light impacts on the melatonin. The melatonin is a hormone that helps you to sleep. Okay. So it affects your melatonin if you're up at night. It's called the blue light. Yeah. So it's called, and it affects the melatonin, which is your sleep hormone. The sunshine hormone, the happy hormone is sunshine, vitamin D. And then there's melatonin, which is a sleep hormone. And it's affected by blue light. Blue light is the light that is emitted by your phone. Okay? And so what happens is that when you're looking at your screen in the middle of the night, trying to sleep with your screen on, that is also reducing the melatonin levels, your sleep hormone levels. So you find yourself unable to sleep and you're wondering, how come I can't sleep? Yeah, I'm in bed. I'm sitting here with my phone. How come I'm not sleeping? It's because of that blue light. So it's important to put that phone away, switch it off. Actually, switch it off. Put it in another room if you have to, unless you're on speed dial for emergency call. Yeah, put it on in another room. Like Fia is saying over here, long walks and exercise helps. Absolutely, Fia. Long walks and exercise helps. So we have to be our own, what do we say, cheerleaders. We have to protect ourselves. We have to be number one. Mental health is important. Avoid toxic people. Avoid people who criticize you all the time. You know, there are people who cannot say a sentence before they criticize you. Do you know that, guys? Even if it is kind of like, it's veiled, it's a veiled criticism. Like, for example, they'll say, "Oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. Nice to see you. Oh, I've been worrying about you. I've been worrying actually about you since the last time." Or you say, "Oh, you know what? You've gained so much weight, or you've lost so much weight." People who have that habit are toxic. Honestly, they're toxic. They may want to excuse themselves. You may want to excuse them, but they're toxic. That's a very good sign of a toxic person. A person who's always looking for fault, looking for your fault, and yet they don't look at themselves in the mirror and see their own faults, which you can see very glaringly. The worst thing about people who criticize other people, especially about people's physical beings, is that their own faults are so glaring that it's difficult to keep your mouth shut. But I have a tendency to attract a lot of people who criticize. And unfortunately, I have a very sharp eye and ear, and I can see their faults staring it back at me. But I do everything possible not to give them the same treatment. I don't do what to others what I would not want done to me. Yeah. So I try my best to hold off the criticism because I know they cannot take the criticism that they're giving me. They can't take it. If it was to be reversed, it will probably affect their mental health. So the best thing is just do not. The best thing is just disassociate. Or if you don't disassociate, inform them that you don't appreciate that kind of criticism and that negative talk, and limit your time around them. And it's good sometimes to tell people off, tell them, hey, let's not talk about the negatives. Yeah. Is there anything positive that you're seeing here? Oh, is everything negative? And if it's negative, bye. Kwaheri, you know? Anyway, Susan.
Yeah, when you said protect your peace, minimize their access to you, and keep boundaries, I think that is a very, very essential aspect of self-care. When you notice that there's somebody who just, you just end up with so tense whenever you're with them, or even after, because of what they've said or what they've done, or what, the criticism, the accusations, the bullying. Literally, bullies are extremely stressful people to be around, and you'll feel quite exhausted at the end of the day. Um, and definitely, I was reading something, and it said what you do is, when you have these type of people who make nasty comments, and it's a form of bullying, you ask them to repeat what they said. And many times when you ask them to repeat what they said, many of them are not able to. They'll just mumble. But when they hear you asking them to repeat what you said, it means you are not afraid to confront them with the issue. And when they do,
Yeah,
if
it's a
they
sort of
do repeat,
confrontation.
yeah,
Yeah.
if they're bold enough to repeat whatever nasty stuff they said, then you ask them a qualifying question: are you saying that I am stupid or something like that? And it depends on how they react to it. If they say no, 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 that's not what I meant that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they start
Or are
trying to
you
get
saying
out
that
of
I
it,
am fat?
or something,
I'd
yeah,
like to see
something
people
like
say,
that. Or
oh
are
my
you saying
God.
I'm underweight, and
Or
that
you saying
time
I'm too
and
thin. Yeah. Yeah. There's some people who say, are you
yeah,
sick? You look tired. You're like, is it a crime to look tired, you guys? Huh? Oh my God, you look tired. Is
it
it is
isn't.
is it a crime
Yeah,
to look tired? I mean, being tired are you supposed to look like real bubbly when you're tired? And what about if you're not? And why don't you just ask me, are you tired? It's probably better to
yeah,
say, are you tired than say you look tired? Because, when you say you look tired to someone, you may be saying that They don't look good. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah,
look, yeah. I'm trying to,
that
in
might
Kikuyu,
be.
I can say it so nicely, but I don't know. In English, they look wilted. That's the right word. Wilted. Yeah. Dark circles under the eyes, eye bags, all that. That is a look of tiredness. So if somebody tells you you look tired, think about it. Ask them, what do you mean by that? I usually say, what do you mean? Instead of repeat it, I usually say, what do you mean by that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
also good. It gives them an opportunity to clarify, and usually it comes back much better, you know,
yeah. You've
because
made
yeah,
them check their words,
yeah, you check
and
them in,
if
yeah,
they repeat the nastiness, if they say,
yeah,
oh, yes, that's what I mean. You look fat. You look fat. You have the
yeah,
choice. You can walk away. You keep quiet. In
mm-hmm,
fact, this person says, don't, once you've got them to say, yes, you look fat,
mm-hmm,
don't engage them further. But you made your point to them, because they'll
mm-hmm.
be a bit more careful in a further conversation with you, because they know you're going to stop them in their tracks and ask them
Yeah,
to repeat what they said. And
and it's funny,
it will
such
give them pause. Yeah.
mm-hmm. It will give them
You
pause, but
know,
it's funny. Such characters, what they do, they turn it around on you and they say, "Oh, you're so sensitive. You're so
yeah,
sensitive."
but they
I didn't
won't
mean
come
it
back
like
to
that,
you.
Maureen. It's not so serious. It's not, it's not so serious. It's not so. It's like, excuse me. Now it's me. Now it's my fault. And immediately I just know this is a narcissist.
Yeah,
This is a
yeah,
narcissist
yeah,
because they
yeah.
turn the
But
blame on you.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah,
They abuse you. And then when you react, they blame you for reacting. That's a narcissist.
yeah,
And you know that that's
yeah.
a toxic human that you want to minimize your time with.
Contact with.
Again, yeah.
Mm,
And what's so weird about people who have that narcissistic behavior is that
yeah,
because you're the supply, they have to come back to you. Even if you run away from them, they will find you and track you down. They need you to survive. They literally need to feed off you. Yeah. So just know that you are in an elevated position to a narcissist. You actually are in a very elevated position, and therefore, one should actually feel proud of themselves. You should feel good about yourself, and you should thank God for yourself, because most narcissists are super evil and very envious and jealous of you. So,
yeah,
it's part of the coping strategy to kind of like tell yourself, reaffirm yourself, tell yourself, listen, there must be something really amazing about me, and I need to protect it. It's like gold. You don't just give gold
yeah,
to anybody. Yeah. Like
yeah,
even the Bible talks about putting gold in a pig's snout. If you know that you are important, you know that you're a special human being, and time with you, anybody who spends time with you is actually being given that opportunity. It's kind of like they should use that time wisely and properly. Otherwise, if they misuse it, out. No time for
yeah.
nonsense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for instance, those
Don't allow
cutting
yourself to be
comments.
abused by anyone. Hmm?
Mm, those cutting comments say about a skill that you have, and this is not the only person that you've interacted with in that space. So, say it's a skill of um, coding. Say coding. You're really good at coding, and you've been told by many people you're good at coding. And this person has a way of coming to tell you you're useless at it and stuff like that. But you know that you have had other people telling you that you're good at it. And if you're, if when you self search and actually I'm quite good at it, such negative comments should not determine or define who you are as a coder, you know, because you have that confidence that you are relatively good, and whatever this person is saying about you is in their head. It has nothing to do with you, because they're saying that to put you down, and possibly even to make you so lacking in confidence that you would not apply to for a promotion, or you'll not enter a competition or something like that, because they want you to be out of it. Yeah, for me, some of the things I do to relax is like do crosswords. I enjoy doing crosswords
Oh, you
and
like
word
crossword
searches.
puzzles.
Oh yeah.
My sister loves
Uh,
them too. Yeah.
and word searches and trio.
Ah,
There's this thing that comes up in the newspaper where there are four words and there's three letters that are common to those four words. So you have to find
mm-hmm,
those three letters. Things like
mm-hmm.
that. So there are many things people can do really to relax and just
Yeah.
to block out those nasty
Yeah.
encounters with people who are messing with your mind. It's
Yeah.
part of self
Definitely.
care. Yeah, yeah,
Creativity is also good,
yeah.
like if you're the kind of person who likes knitting, or knitting, or if you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter, you like creating things. You like woodwork, you like working with wood, you like fixing your car, you like maybe walking, you like walking the dog, you enjoy animals, maybe you like children, just anything that is different from what you normally do. It's good. For me, guess what is my new hobby right now? Learning my language, learning Kikuyu. I love learning Kikuyu. I listen to Kikuyu songs and I write them down. I look for the words and I practice them. And it's killing me. It's tongue twisters everywhere, for me. Because I love music and I love Kikuyu music, but the problem is I don't know the words. Yeah. So my job is always listening to the songs, trying to sing them in Kikuyu, and asking for translation from anyone around me who might understand what it means in some cases. So learning music, learning songs, that's my go-to. That's what I tend to do. And because, for example, now I'm looking after my mom who has dementia. She loves listening to music. So she listens to the same reels over and over, and it's new every time. So she never gets bored. So it's really easy for me then to pick up on the songs. And today I was singing them and she was like, "Oh, you're singing in Kikuyu. Are you serious?" She was so shocked. Says, "Where did you learn Kikuyu? Where did you learn?" And it's because, you see, the way we were brought up, most of us, we were not speaking our mother tongue. It's part of can we say, the leftovers of colonialism. Yeah. Many people were not allowed to speak their local language, especially in classes, in formal education, we're not allowed to speak. So, people tended to speak English mostly, or Swahili even, but not their mother tongue. And now we are starting to learn, and I really thank all those creatives who are online, who are forcing us to learn our mother tongues. And today I was listening to a Luo station because it looked like such an interesting movie. It looked like Niger cinema. It was in Doluo, and I was like, I wish they would translate this thing. And I've watched people who don't speak Kikuyu listening to Inoro, which is a Kikuyu station, and watching those Kikuyu plays and saying, "Why don't you people translate this thing? Translate it. It looks so interesting." You know? So I
When
hope that AI will get to the point where it can actually translate for you down there and you can follow in writing, just like they
when you
do all these French movies and stuff. Hmm?
when you talk about translation, people who have watched these movies, remember there was a van that used to go around showing people films.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
know whether
yeah.
you know.
Mobile
So it would
cinema.
go to these, yeah. So it would go to these centers, and then they have translators. Okay, so they have translators, and maybe this is a James Bond movie. Or maybe it's a James Bond movie, and the translator
Susan,
is
no, I'm
just
not
a
ready for this.
computer. Which James Bond is called, Jogona, or depending on where they are, Otiano. And then they make the sounds that maybe there's a gunshot, you go boo, 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 boo. And then they've changed the name of the actors and all that. And sometimes they don't even get it right. So some friends of mine were saying they used to go and watch those movies. Of course, they understand the English, but now there's a translator in Kikuyu, say. And it's so funny because some of the things he's saying are so wrong.
The
The
Kikuyu
translation.
translator will be even more interesting than the movie itself. Can you imagine translating a Jackie Chan movie into local language in the village? You know what? I think that they should actually reintroduce those mobile cinemas because they also help the villagers to come together. It's anything we need to think about ways to de-stress and decompress. as much as possible, because it's not actually right for us to have so much negativity, negative energy, because cortisone, there's some negative hormones. There's some hormones that come and they can make your blood start rushing, your heart start beating faster than it's supposed to. And then before you know it, you developed a disease. Yeah. So anyway, this was not going to be a very long session. It was just to talk about put your mental health first. Why it's important to put your mental health first? Because it's also about your quality of life and the fact that we have many more years to live. And news comes and goes. News things come and go. Leaders come and go. News comes and goes, and we can only process so much information. We are limited. We are limited as humans. We can't be AI. I don't think we'll ever get to that point, even if they want to put a microchip in our brain. Still, our movements, our years are not going to increase because they're going to put a microchip in our brains or wherever they're going to put it. Yeah. So I just wanted to say that. Yeah. So, in summary, what I would say is that we need to practice positive living. Yeah, like we talked about, avoid screen time at night, create a routine for your bedtime. Yeah, and kind of make your room something very comfortable to live in. It should be dark, quiet, it should be cool. Black out your curtains so that you don't see the light if you're in a very bright place. If you're in a noisy neighborhood, talk to your neighbors, talk to them and explain to them the importance of quiet. Like, for example, I have a neighbor here who have dogs, and I've told them those dogs are not going to be barking after a certain time, please. Yeah. So if this, dogs are very intelligent. If it's time for them to be let out, they should be let out at that time. Don't allow your dogs to spoil the sleep of your neighbor. Yeah. Allow them out when they're supposed to be out. Again, avoid things like drinks, heavy, strong drinks, alcoholic drinks, drinking them in the night. Avoid drinking too much caffeine all day. It will disrupt your sleep because it will make your heart race. And manage your anxiety with meditation. You can meditate on the word of God or meditate on good things, journal, and also, watch in positive things and be around positive people. Try to be around positive people as much as possible. There are some people who are really, really positive. Yeah. And if you are the one who's carrying negativity, then you need to change. You need to really change, meditate, get rid of that negativity because it's not going to help you or anybody around you. Yeah. So, on that note, I just wanted to say that and maybe give Susan the last word and then we close off. Yes, Susan.
No, well said, Maureen. Queen Mo, I don't have anything else to add.
Thank you so much, Susan. It's been a pleasure having you on board. And thanks, you guys. Yes, thank you, Fia, for your comments there. And those of you guys who are going to watch it later, you can always, give us your comments about mental health, and it comes first. And, remember that you need to thumbs up our videos, please. Please thumbs up our videos. Is very important so that at least the algorithm will pick up on it. And remember to join us tomorrow. We are going to have a very interesting show. It's going to be about why we think that Mr. Ruto lost in Addis. What is our take? And what are people saying about it? It's interesting just to talk about it, but I have a completely different perspective. I would love to share it with you and see whether you have anything to say. Yeah. So, because on Mondays we do local politics, we talk about, politics at the local scale. Then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about geopolitics. And on Wednesday, we're going to talk about deconstructing deconstruction. Yeah. You see the way the 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 woke people deconstructed traditional life. Yeah. It's being deconstructed by Trump. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. And we're going to have a special guest on the show. But tomorrow we're going to be talking about Raila. Do not miss the show tomorrow evening. We're going to have it around 10 o'clock, between 10:30, about between 10. Yeah, 10:15. Don't miss the show. Come on board, watch it. And on Friday, we have relationships. And on Sundays, we have mental health when we can. Okay, so thank you for joining us and have a good evening. To do's. Remember to sleep tonight. Good night. Bye bye. Toodles. Oh, wait, guys. Wait, before I say goodbye. Kenya Mkora is coming to the stage now. Are you serious? Kenya Mkora. Okay, let me give him a minute to come on stage. Hi, I'm Kenya Mkora. We were saying
Hello,
goodbye.
hello.
Where?
Hello.
Sema, prodigal son, where have you been? How's your weekend going in America?
I've been gone a little bit. Even the prodigal son, Lazima Ali.
Ah,
I was trying to
yeah.
go finish my wealth that the father gave us so that I can come back home.
Now you're coming when you're broke. Good night. You're
Yeah,
off. We're not your fathers, okay? But you have exactly 2 minutes to say what you have to say, and after that, you put it in the comment section. Join us
I,
tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Ruto. No, Raila.
no,
Sorry, not
no,
Ruto. We're
no, no,
talking
no,
about
no,
Raila
no.
tomorrow in the AU
This is a
tomorrow night.
reunion. You have to extend me, my dear sister, my dear sisters. You have to extend me. I didn't get
All
the whole
right,
thing,
all
but
right, all right. Continue.
yeah, it
It's late
cannot be
here
so
in
many.
Nairobi. We talked about sleeping early, but it's okay. It's okay. You're Kenyan Kora. You're
Yeah,
our brother. And we understand that you're in the diaspora. Tell us, how are you doing there under Trump?
the prodigal son is back home. Give him his time.
Welcome.
Mpatie mbuzi yake yenye lazima,
Karibu
you
sana.
have,
We are giving you your flowers and your mbuzi and everything. You don't need flowers. You need mbuzi and choma. Sema. Talk to us.
yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's
talking
good. It's
about
good.
mental health and protecting your mental health today. That's the topic.
Oh, mental health.
Yeah, today we're talking about mental health. What do you do? What are the type of things that are attacking your mental health, and what are the triggers of mental health, and how do you resolve your mental health issues? Like when you're out there, far away from your family, yeah, in
And
Kenya,
that's
and you're living there under a new regime, which is coming up with new policies every day, affecting maybe you're feeling a little bit insecure, maybe with your finances maybe, or with your future in America. What do you think? What do you do? Tell
that's
us
a
about your
very.
mental
I
health.
wish honestly, honest to God, I wish I could have come in earlier because I think that's a very pertinent topic and something that can actually attest to and I understand very deeply, and especially like you say, the people who are away from their family. I wish I could have just come in early. I just nimeingia tu nikapata mkisema oh bye
Ni
bye
sawa,
bye
just
bye.
you have your time. Just talk. We'll give you 5 good minutes.
Okay,
Talk.
yes. When we come to mental health, I just don't want to talk about the mental health in Kenya. I want to talk about the diasporans' mental health.
Wonderful,
It's
wonderful. Thank you for adding that component. Extremely important, and we missed it. So tell us.
the diasporan's mental health is a lethal concussion. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that the mental health of the diaspora, and I'm just gonna spill it out, is the mental health that actually lands you in a graveyard, uh, in a multi people graveyard, if you understand what I'm saying. Back at home, you will be buried at your home with your mother, with your family
That's true.
members.
Yeah. Yeah. We know some people are not being transported home. It's expensive.
It's very expensive. So even people will not even come for your funeral because they don't even have a visa
Oh
by the
my
time you're dead.
gosh. Uh-huh. That's sad.
So
That's very
they
sad.
will watch you. They will watch your procession. And luckily, if you actually had good friends
They watch you
in that
online.
diaspora that you're
Mm,
seeing,
mm.
people who will come to that funeral, and then you'll be laid somewhere in Brooklyn,
Hey, yeah.
in between so many people that even if your mother ever got your visa to come and see where you were buried, they won't even
Mm,
figure out which one is my daughter's grave.
mm. And tell me now, what are the kinds of challenges that diasporans go through, which are unique to you guys in the diaspora, that would
So
cause people to even lose their lives?
the uniqueness about it is that remember, just you don't have to say your village where you came from, but tell me where you're from.
Me, you
Just
know, I'm
choose
a
one.
Cuk. You know, I'm a Cuk.
Okay,
Just say
so let me.
Kiambu. Kiambu.
Okay, Kiambu, right?
Yeah.
But your shags, okay, you can be in Kiambu, but okay, so Kiambu, let's just say Kiambu is your shags. Huko ndio kwenyu. But then you work in Nairobi or you work in Moyale, which I could really not care, or in Nairobi. You can actually go home every weekend, assuming things are not working for you. You can go and get the cabbages or whatever you guys, plant,
Hmm.
right? On a weekend.
Yes,
You
of
can even
course.
take a,
You can
yeah, you can,
decompress and just get. Actually, Shags is just here. Shags, the village, is just here. It's not far. You
yeah,
can take public
you can even
transport
take
and
a
you'll be there
matatu.
in 20 minutes. Hmm?
Yeah, you can even take a matatu. You go, you buy you. I mean,
Yeah.
assuming
Take
you
public
didn't
bus
have
and just get there.
skuma,
Yeah.
eh, and then you
Mhm.
come back and with your kagunia. If there's unajua, like Ingo people like carrying the cuckoos. You can even carry the cuckoo with flapping its wings in a matatu, and you're there na
Cuckoos are
unasumbua
chickens for
watu.
those of you who don't understand Swahili. Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, and actually I've seen some people be very cruel to animals. But anyway, let's continue without going into that. So tell me.
Yeah, and you
So
can
that's
even
the
fungia.
difference. The
You can
difference is
even tell
that
the
home is
makanga.
nearby.
And you can even tell the makanga tufungie huko juu. I mean, katachapwa na baridi huko. I mean, you all the way to Nairobi, and you come back home. And okay.
Okay. Okay. So
So
what's the point with this chicken that is actually being carried and ferried all the way home? Uh-huh. From the
okay.
village.
So the point is that
Mm-hmm.
what people do not understand about diasporans, this is not it's not for the faint-hearted, because sometimes life will hit you so bad, you want
Yeah.
to go hug your sister. But when you think about the sister, you know you cannot walk over the ocean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
And so a lot of people in the diaspora sometimes fight until it's done.
So they're
You know,
lonely,
they're very lonely, but they cannot tell
isolated.
you.
Mm.
They cannot tell you. They will be there and saying, hey, and then you guys will be like, oh, Tuma dollar, send the dollars and everything. But they are
Yeah.
very lonely. The social fabric of them is gone. These guys, I mean, me included, we sometimes actually end up into a point, and that actually becomes, that goes back to that mental situation where you
Hmm.
like, the way I started by saying that some people actually will not even come back home because they've already decided that they I mean, they can't. What are they coming with? And again, there's also a big expectation. If you've been in
Hmm.
the diaspora, there's a lot of expectation of the people in back at our home. They like, sasa ona huyu alienda huko amerudi bila chochote. Ona,
That's
So
true.
and that actually keeps people away from wanting even to come back home. You know, but then at the end of the day, you'll find home is not somewhere that we want to come back to, unless kuna kitu umefanya, and it gets in your psychology slowly, 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 and you end up being this prisoner of where you were. And it's affected so many people, and I've seen it so much. Me personally, I can say I am a little blessed because mimi ni mkora, like my name says there. Saa zingine mimi zinanichapaga, tunaangushana nayo, tunasema kanuke kanuke, let it be whatever it is. I'll story badai, you know but there's a lot of people, actually, my dear sisters here, there's a lot of people suffering out here. I mean, there's homeless
You're not
Kenyans.
telling me anything new because I was a diasporan, and so was Susan. I remember we used to have these discussions. I used to have these discussions with my friend, unfortunately, who passed away in America. She was Ugandan. And we used to talk in the middle of the night, through the middle. You know, women, we talk a lot. So get on the phone, landline, and talk until 4 in the morning, asking ourselves, what are we doing here? And she used to say that this is voluntary enslavement. This is voluntary. We have actually brought ourselves here. We paid for it, and we're here suffering with our kids. She had many children. I had just one. She had many kids, but she was married. She had many children, and it was hard. Yeah. And she was like, what am I doing here? I should be in Uganda. Life would be so much easier for me in Uganda. Yeah. But like you said, they didn't have a home. They had not built anything in Uganda. And those are the things that we were talking about. But she says, I haven't built anything. We are trying to save money so that we can build. But you see, as a parent, when you have children, you have to look after them, right? So her husband is working doubles. He's a nurse. He's working doubles. And she herself had 4 kids that she was raising. She could not just get up and go to work because, after all, it would cost so much for daycare. So somebody has to take the responsibility of looking after the children. She had 4 children to look after at home, and her husband was working, and the money was never
Also,
enough.
also Queen Mo,
It was
Queen
so
Mo,
expensive in those
Queen,
days, even in those
Queen
days.
Mo, Queen Mo.
Yeah. Mm.
I know the lawyer is about here to come and hit us because I want to hit her a little bit. That's why I told you give me some time. You see, what you just said is actually very legit, and because I've kind of studied the community like in diaspora and why they end we I'm not gonna get myself out of that. We end up in that mental kind of place where we have a different, because a lot of people come in with the entrance. We know what we are coming to do, but we don't have the exit strategy. We have the entrance strategy, but we don't have the exit strategy. And again, now when I've seen people who've been arrested because of just nonsensical things which are here not there. I've never seen a really a good criminal, a Kenyan criminal, or even an African criminal or an immigrant criminal. It's just nonsensical things that you get arrested, but these countries you will be arrested for nonsense. Okay, now if we don't have that, you kind of go back and look at, there's also a lacuna, and this goes back to the geopolitical thing that we also talk, and the law. Ndio maana nimesema before my sister here comes in, because I know she's gonna come in with the law. The Kenyan, and let me just be specific about Kenya. Let me not go to gibberish to other countries. Let me just speak about Kenya. The Kenyan law, immigration law, they will, and even in their documents when you get arrested, I've seen them, and they will say, you know what, do you want us to contact your consulate? But then when you contact them, there has been something which I kind of admire, because by the time the consulate answers these people, you will not be utakuwa umetupwa nje. But we do not have a legit law, that actually international law, that actually protects the Kenyan people by the virtue that you are a citizen. The Kenyan citizenry out there is the problem that we are even having in the Gulf, that anybody can use you however they want to use you, but the embassies that we have out there do not even do anything. I once fought with the Kenyan embassy in Washington, D.C. Tulipigana tukapigana tukapigana until ikafika mahali one lady just told me, hey, umepigana sana, okay, na kutumia passport yako basi, uache kutusumbua. But you have to fight so much to get into that. And that's why you're even finding homeless people, like in the US, homeless people, and that's a Kenyan. Why? Because even the embassy will not even give you your passport. I've seen people hapa wana makaratasi, and then you can't even do anything because why? You have to travel all the way to Washington DC to go to that place, and ukienda bado hakuna watu. But how many people have money to get on a flight to go to Washington DC for the to the embassy for them to represent them? An embassy should actually have lawyers like our mom here, lawyers that actually are really working. So there's a, I wish I could have come in, sijui kama unaweza ongeza Queen Mo, because I have a lot on this. I'm sorry. I wish
No,
kama
no, no.
unaweza
What we're
ongeza.
gonna what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna talk about it through the week, and then we can bring up this story next Sunday. We can actually have a diaspora show and have it late on Friday. Maybe on Friday. Are you available on Friday?
I
Friday,
don't know
or is
about my next
which day
week.
is good for you? Is Sunday? Is it Sunday? Because you see the time right now, we're going. It's past midnight. We need to wind up, and there have been people who have been on this show for some time. So what we'll do, I don't want to cut you off. I know you have so much to contribute, and it's a very important subject, and it's a very wide topic about mental health and diasporans. That's a topic in itself. So we can also do the research. Susan can also do the research, and you as well. Then we come prepared to discuss it on Sunday next week.
Agreed. But I also
Yeah,
want
because
to
it's a
hear
mental
what
health
Susan
show.
has to say for this one.
I'll give you a minute to wrap up because we have already wrapped up, and then we'll say goodnight. We will.
No,
I think
Queen, wacha Susan kwanza aseme
Okay,
kitu,
Susan
and then
needs to
she can
say
wrap it
something.
up even for
What do you
me.
think, Susan?
yeah. Hi. Um, yeah, definitely. We've come across some of the complaints about the inefficiency and ineffectiveness of consulates in other parts of the world, and they're not really serving or protecting citizens. So the failure is not the law. The failure is the individuals because they are perhaps lax in the way they do their work. And also diplomacy also works in a different way, which is which sometimes has some issues. But basically speaking, it's the laxity or the failure I see is more on the part of the ability of the staff to respond accordingly. If the passports are not there, again, there could be issues which they can easily explain. They could manage their customers in a better way, and that's a choice. And it's really unfortunate that they're not doing their jobs well, because for sure we would not be having some of the crises we're having. I don't know whether you know about the case of a young man who has been sentenced to death in Saudi Arabia. He got into he was working somewhere. He actually went there after Form 6, uh, like a gap year before he goes to university. And so he went to work in Saudi Arabia some years ago, many years ago. And he was working somewhere, and he befriended the son of the owner of the shop. And one time they think they got into an argument, and the son of the owner picked up something like a sharp object. I'm not sure what it was, and he wanted to stab this Kenyan fellow. So they fought, and the Kenyan fellow was able to wrest the penknife or whatever the sharp object from this his friend, and in the course of defending himself or fighting, he stabbed these guys. Unfortunately, the young man, the son died. The owner's son died. So he was arrested and taken to the normal courts in Saudi Arabia, and he was jailed for convicted of manslaughter and jailed for like 6 years. But the widow of this son was not happy with that, so she had him charged in the Sharia courts, and the Sharia court sentenced him to death. So right now, the reason why I'm telling you this story is that the the diplomatic core, that with using diplomacy, they've tried, the Kenyan government has now very late, they've come in very late in the day to really try to help and to negotiate that position. They've been able to delay certain things, because actually execution was delayed by 1 year because of the diplomatic intervention. But they took a long time to intervene. And actually, it took the news people, the media, to really interview the mother of this young man and really tell everybody about it. And of course, it was embarrassing for Kenya that this was happening, and there was this young man who was, facing the firing squad. I think I'm not. I think it was firing squad, one of the death penalty methods in Saudi Arabia. So definitely, what you're talking about is very, very real. Some people have experienced it. This is somebody I'm talking about who I know, and she's trying to raise 150 million shillings in blood money, because that lady said, the widow said, that if she raises a compensation of equivalent of in Kenya shillings 150 million, this young man will be released. So she's trying to raise what they're calling blood money. And yeah, but the Kenyan government has come in very, very late in the whole situation, because the question is, of course, that we're asking is, how come they have not intervened and said, well, he was tried in one court, how can he be tried in another court for the same thing? Where is the justice in that? Where is the justice in that? So he was tried twice for the same offense in two different courts in Saudi Arabia. Where is the justice in that? You know? Um, yeah, so those are deeper questions. And like Queen Mo said, we could discuss this as a topic next Sunday, and then we can really talk about some of these things in depth. Thank you for
Mm.
raising that. That is actually very true. Even when you talked about
Yeah,
there
you brought
being
a very
no,
important perspective here, Kenyamkora. You have, even if it's late, it's okay. Yeah, you brought it late, but better late than never. At least you enriched our discussion a lot by adding that dimension of the diaspora mental health of diasporans. It's
Hence,
important.
hence
Mm.
them Kora in them Kenyam Kora, because these are things I've been looking at, looking at, meaning to, I'm cool. I look at things in a different kind of perspective. And by the way, this is a very good topic that you're bringing up, because nimekwambia, if I was both of you, if I was to bring you and we walk to any cemetery and I show you how many people we've buried around here, people that really could have gone home, wanted to go home, and
Wow.
everything, but
Wow.
cannot go. Is the mental, the diaspora has some mental thing.
A
That is
mental
why
health
you find
crisis. So there's a mental
yeah,
health
it's a
crisis of
crisis.
Kenyan diasporas, Africans in the diaspora. There's a mental health crisis there. I believe it's
Yes,
there. I believe it's there. We hear the stories, we see the videos, we see people, we see some homeless people saying they want money to be raised so that they can go back home. And yet they're deporting people who don't want to go home, and they're leaving the ones who want to go home. That's what I don't understand. That's very disingenuous, you know? They should just charter
let
some
me give you
flights, charter
let
some
me give you
flights, and bring people back home who want to go back home.
let me give you a fun story. I
Hmm.
won't mention names. I won't say anything. I mean, to for identity's sakes. There was a guy that I know very, very, very well that was just sick and tired being in diaspora. I won't say what country. You can feel it on yourself. And he said, you know what? These guys like to take us back home. You know what? I'm done. He walked into an immigration office and said, I overstayed my visa. I did everything. Akajitangaza kila kitu. Akajitangaza kila kitu na akasema, what I need you guys to arrest me right now, and I need you guys to send me back home, get me on the next flight. I'm ready to go to be deported. They refused. They told him you have to go, I don't know, through what channels and all that. And he camped there. He said, I'm not going anywhere.
This happens a lot. This happens a lot more than you know. It happens in the UK as well. And they don't even have to go anywhere. They tell you. They're telling other diasporans that they want to go home. You guys, man, raise money. I want to go home, but they can't. Especially the elderly, the people who are older. Yeah, there's some people who are aging in the diaspora and they want to go home, and they have no way of going back because they can't raise that ticket. Their papers are probably expired. There's a lot going on. So it's an issue of, look, you say you don't want the migrants there, you don't want these people there, but you're not willing to help them to leave. Why? What does it, why? Why is that? And that's the reason why I'm saying we need a whole show on the diaspora. I promise you, Sunday, next week, this is what we're going to discuss: diaspora, mental health, and
Queen,
uh,
can
and
we do it
and
on Saturday? Because
and
Sunday I'm gonna
immigration.
be fully covered. Can we do Saturday?
I think so. Susan, how's your Saturday? Can we do it? Yeah, we can. In fact, Saturday would work better for me because it means
Yeah.
Sunday we can sleep in. Yeah, we can do it on Saturday instead. We can move the show on Sunday to Saturday. That would be all right. Yeah. So you guys, you heard that? Yeah, all of you guys who are watching, we're having this show on Saturday. Don't disappear on us, Mkenya Mkora. Be there. We are going to have a diaspora show. And please collect as many stories as you can. Okay? Get the diasporas to come on board and tell us their stories. Even if they're not their own, they can tell a story. And I'm also going to try and see if I can recruit as many people on Saturday to come on board from the diaspora to chat or even just to comment. There are people who are in the diaspora here, people like Ida and Fia and Louis and many other people who are here from they're actually based in the US or the UK, and I'm sure they'll be there on Saturday evening. But we'll make it a very late night show to make sure that that means 11 o'clock. Yeah, starting at 11 o'clock p.m. Kenyan time, East African time. So okay, guys. So I'll create the thumbnail and put it up early so that you guys can prepare. Spend Saturday evening. If you're in the diaspora, if you're outside of Africa, outside of the main continent, please, that is going to be your show on Saturday evening. Yeah. All going according to plan. So, Kenyam Kora, thank you so much. I'm going to have to close the show now. And thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for coming on board. Thank you, Susan, and everybody else in the comment section. And those of you who are watching the recorded one, good night and enjoy it. And please remember to thumbs up. Thank you so much for all the thumbs up. Do appreciate it. Good night and goodbye. To-dos. Bye-bye.
Bye. See you
Bye-bye.
Saturday.
Yeah, see you, see
Makora.
you, see you tomorrow first, and then see you Saturday on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, and Friday and Saturday. Okay.